Welcome to another fun-filled Friday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeena McGee, which is she. I am Cindy Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
Sorry about that, folks. I had to adjust my chair. You can follow me at Katie McGee on the Twitter and at Keno_McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. You want to know why? Because we said so, that's why. And also, too, you can catch any of our other 5 live shows throughout the week. You happen to miss them, you can listen back or watch them at your own leisure. So make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app today. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, that's Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You want to catch the audio version of this podcast, Second City Sports? You can do so by subscribing to War on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. Just type this in your search engine boxes, WARR on Anchor. And you can follow War Media at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, at War Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. You have any definite opinions on any of our topics that we're going to be covering for today's show during our 2-hour extravaganza? You can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and or do something stupid or just act straight ignorant, as some of you young folks would say, I've given Lakeena full boat to give you fools to Beerland Beer Boot.
Bye-bye.
I love when she says that. Let's get started, Lakeena, with this Friday edition of Second City Sports by discussing what's going on the diamond. Resilience. You want to know what that means? It means the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness, the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, and among other things. The White Sox showed that at least at the end of the game yesterday by defeating the Kansas City Royals by the score of 7-4 to take the series 3-2. Since the Royals gave them trouble last year, the White Sox responded by winning this important series. Now, as the great 1980 singer Boy George from the band Culture Club once said, time won't give me time. Time makes the lovers feel that they got something real. While the White Sox, Tony La Russa, and everybody else who wants to listen are telling you that the Sox still have time to recover from their mediocre start, the Twins are making most of their time with a 3-game lead over the White Sox in the AL Central Division. Now, the Sox may convince you that they still have time to turn this around with the return of Yohan Moncada, Lance Lynn, Eloy Jimenez. We all assume, if they stay on track, are coming in the coming weeks. Now, the Minnesota Twins are making most of their time, as I mentioned, creating this 3-game lead. Now, the White Sox are facing the New York Yankees in Gotham City starting tonight for a big 3-game weekend series. If the series last weekend on the South Side is a big indication of anything, the White Sox are in a whole world of trouble. Their record stands at 19-19, with much more room to grow. Expectations at an all-time high. As we said on this show, last year you were the hunters. Now you are the hunted. Many people believe that with yesterday's win, the White Sox are finally starting to turn the corner. As I mentioned, with the potential returns of Lance Lynn and Lucas Giolito and Michael Kopech pitching on Sunday Night Baseball against the Yankees, there is hope regaining on some parts on the South Side. The question is, will it become reality sooner rather than later? We're about to answer these questions and a whole lot more. Lakeena, are the Southside Hitmen finally turning the corner, or is it just another mini tease?
We'll just have to wait in that series against the Yankees this weekend, aren't we? I think that's probably the thing where we'll see if they really are back, or it was just a blip in the radar. I mean, that win against the Royals to take the series was huge because they really needed that because they had lost 2 in a row prior to that. So they really needed this, that win yesterday to kind of get back into it, sort of get into the group as they start, go up to Yankee Stadium and play the Yankees this weekend. Now again, I mean, you had guys step up. Guys were up and down. Luis Robert had a couple of big home runs and 4 RBIs in that win. He had a really good series. TA had a good series. The pitching, for the most part, was good. I mean, the bullpen still had some of their issues, but look, I think they were able to kind of go through, come through, and in that sense in the end. So I think, look, again, call me again once the series is over with against the Yankees. If they win the series, great. If they don't, then we'll probably be back to where we started. And God forbid they get swept by the Yankees. And so the Yankees have been still playing pretty well lately for the most part. We'll just have to wait and see.
Following Tuesday's doubleheader, the White Sox game day analyst for television's NBC Sports Chicago, Isaac Guillen, criticized Tony La Russa's lineup for Game 2 of that doubleheader, which set off star shortstop Tim Anderson telling Isaac Guillen to shut his bleeping mouth. Lakeena, I told you I have my issues with La Russa, but I'm going to stick to it as factual, with the opinions based on facts, not based on silly feelings. And as we discussed on our last show on Monday, I do have a problem with Tony La Russa with his different lineups for every day of the week. I don't want you throwing out your Sunday lineups every third day or every fourth day. I get it, you want to get some guys in to keep them fresh. I know, as we said before the start of this season, Lakeena, all teams in Major League Baseball will have to use the whole month of April and the first part of May instead of spring training. That experiment is over, and La Russa is still stuck back in his ways. That's detriment to this team. I don't like the way he set his lineups. I don't like the way that he's overusing that bullpen. By this rate, the bullpen will be burned out before the 4th of July. Now,
and I think that's
I get it that Tim Anderson was caught up. Yeah, I get it that Tim Anderson is caught up in his emotions. I know Isaac again went on to say as well that you've given some players days off here and there. They're being coddled to a certain extent, and that's why Tim Anderson went off the way he did. I think Tim Anderson maybe took it the wrong way. I know he's since taken that tweet down from what I understand, but the problems are bigger than what the Sox can handle right now. Remember this time last year, Lakeena, the only thing that we were talking about was Jeremy Mercedes. He hit that, heaven forbid, he hit that 3-0 pitch home run in a blowout situation at Minnesota last year, and everybody got on him. Tony La Russa chastised him in front of the media. The players had his back, and nothing else came up that besides Yerman Mercedes' struggles there afterwards. He was eventually sent down to the minors. This year, there's more controversy that the White Sox can handle right now, with the Tim Anderson giving the dirty bird at Cleveland with this tweet from following Tuesday night's doubleheader. Dallas Keuchel yelling, bitching, and moaning about being pulled in that win against the Yankees on the South Side last Saturday night. Lakeena, I don't want to overstate this, but this is kind of giving me 2019 Chicago Bears vibes. The 2018 Bears, of course, lost in the playoffs to Philadelphia in ugly fashion after winning the NFC North. Of course, we all found out why that team was acting like that, because they didn't know how to handle success. Can we see the same thing with the White Sox? Are we looking at with the White Sox, or am I going too far?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to, like I said, we'll have to wait and see as the season goes, because I'm thinking that maybe I've heard people use that comparison. I think people should just kind of wait a little bit. Let's wait another month. That we're still the Sox are still in this situation. They're like 3 or 4 games behind the Twins, and the Twins are still playing well. Then you can kind of panic and say, "Oh my God!" But I think this wouldn't be a problem if the Sox were better than what they are. If they had a better record, if they were in first place right now instead of the Twins. Now that since they're in second place, they're, as of this moment, they're 3 games back. Now all the stuff that's been going on, all the shenanigans on with TA's Twitter and with Ozzy saying, now all that's becoming into the forefront. And look, like I said before, we'll wait and see about this series against the Yankees. It's gonna be very interesting. You got some very interesting matchups here. You got Dallas Keuchel, who's had an up and down season so far. Against Nestor Cortez has been really solid. Only has a 1.35 ERA, so that's going to be a tough matchup for the Sox tonight. Like I said before, as long as you don't get swept, if you win the series, great. You get the confidence and such. But to close, because we got other baseball stuff to talk about, because I don't want to go in too far into it. But look, we'll have to wait and see as it goes, because they have a pretty tough schedule these next couple of weeks. all this stuff going on with the injuries and all the shenanigans, it's sort of, it's just kind of morbid and sort of a moot point. We'll just have to wait and see.
And of course, you mentioned the pitching matchups for the Sox and Yankees series tonight. You mentioned Dallas Keuchel versus Nestor Cortez, who pitched the gym here in Chicago last Sunday afternoon. Of course, Johnny Cueto, who pitched the gym in his debut earlier this week to open up the series against the Royals with 6 shutout innings and 7 strikeouts. He'll go in tomorrow's game in the afternoon against the Yankees. Of course, Sunday Night Baseball, Michael Kopech will take the hill for the Southsiders. So I think the White Sox will not get swept. I think they'll take at least one game out of this series. Like you said, if they win this series, or heaven forbid, sweep the Yankees, which I don't think is going to happen. But if they take 2 out of 3, you really feel good about yourselves going into that Red Sox series next week. Of course, you have the hated Cubs for 2 games this time next week. But the White Sox have been pitching very good all season. They did that for the most part in this series against Kansas City. They've been playing near flawless defense. I know they did that last week in the series against the Yankees, so I think the defense should and will improve. But that offense, as we said before, Lakeena, has to start generating runs. And they scored more than 4 runs yesterday. It looked kind of bleak for a while, but Luis Robert, that Kansas City Royals killer, he did it in this series, and he did it again yesterday.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can keep that up as you go against the Yankees and tougher pitching. Going to the north side now, and the Cubs. Cubs, they've had an up and down week. Christopher Morel, his first at bat. You guys saw the moment on Tuesday, hit that home run, and
Congrats.
It was, yeah, and look, it was already like the game was kind of out of reach. I think they were like up like 7-0 by then. It was like at the bottom of the 8th, but it was so exciting seeing those moments, and he almost missed first base. He was so excited. So of course he had to step up because the Cubs have had some injury issues and whatnot. Now, unfortunately, they ended up losing that series against the Pirates. The inconsistency of the offense. Unfortunately, if they lose the opener against the Diamondbacks, they're actually going to be starting their game in about an hour from now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, though they've had injuries and such, I know they've got like a little mini COVID outbreak. I know Hayward's on the COVID list, IL list and such. So it's kind of unfortunate the inconsistencies of the Cubs sort of has been a big thing this season. So again, we'll see if they can at least get back into it, and hopefully they can do well against the Diamondbacks and perhaps maybe win the series, win these next 3, or at the very least split it. But we'll see.
Yeah, the Cubs always do well against the Pirates. That's been the story of the season, correct? And they had a chance, as you mentioned, had a chance to sweep them. They didn't do that on Wednesday night. They ended up taking 2 out of 3 from the lowly Pirates. But the Cubs had some decent started pitching during that series. Kyle Hendricks and, of course, Marcus Stroman, who made his return yesterday in that Diamondback series off the injured list. He didn't pitch that bad. Just the offense didn't back him up. And that's what we said going into the year about this Cubs team. They have an average roster as far as offense is concerned, but you don't know when they're going to put up a certain amount of runs. This offense is consistently inconsistent. You could put up great numbers against bad teams, but against mediocre and good teams, you barely could scrape 2 or 3 runs together. And that's what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, and that's going to be sort of the thing. And unfortunately that's been plaguing them the whole season. So they finished, like I said, they finished at their weekend series against the Diamondbacks. Like I said, the second game of that, 4-game restarts in about an hour from now. So we'll see if the Cubs can kind of get back into it. What caught your eye?
And they're going to honor Ferguson Jenkins before today's game.
New statue. They have a statue put up finally, long overdue.
Yes, finally. Oh, long overdue.
Long overdue for him, and I know he's at the ballpark right now, so I'm sure he's gonna love this. He's had a rough go. He lost his wife last year, and I know he's still goes to Wrigley Field a lot. So I think this will be a nice sweet moment for him. And look, you can check that out on Marquee Network if you guys get a chance to. Well, you turn back and forth from us, listening and watching us. So.
Yeah, mute the Marquee Network and turn us up right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. So what caught your eye in MLB this week?
Injuries. The New York Mets, I know they beat the St. Louis Cardinals in the last at bat yesterday by the score of 7-6. But the New York Mets are joining everybody else in Major League Baseball dealing with injuries. Of course, Jacob deGrom, their ace on the pitching staff, is still out with an injury. Looks like Max Scherzer is going to join him as well. And he's going to be out for a while.
Weeks.
So the New York Mets, who are lucky for the first month of the season, didn't have to deal with many serious injuries. They're going to have to deal with it now. So who's going to step up on that pitching staff? And Edwin Diaz, their closer, who's been off to a nice start this year. He's been having trouble his last few outings. So if you can't
Mhm.
keep a lead, which happened again yesterday, that's going to be a problem for them, especially with your two stud aces down off that starting rotation. The Philadelphia Phillies, I know they're two games under 500, I believe 7 back in the NL East. Bryce Harper, I know they took 3 or 4 from the Dodgers. They lost, got shut out by the Padres at home yesterday. Bryce Harper's out 6 to 8 weeks. So Philadelphia, I like my man Joe Girardi from Chicago. He's managing the Phillies. He's going to have a tough task because Bryce Harper's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks.
And that's going to be big because the Phillies have already had a bad start to the season, so kind of
Mm-hmm.
like a mediocre start. So now they're I think they lost their series to the Padres. So yeah, this is going to be sort of a thing, and this could be a big test for the Phillies if they can kind of at least keep things afloat until he's able to come back. It's going to be a tough task because they haven't the offense has been kind of shaky, and their pitching hasn't been very good either. So we'll just have to wait
Yeah.
and see with that. Aaron Judge is one of your leaders in home runs. He unfortunately had another home run unfortunately Camden. They had other ideas that wall that kept him from hitting that home run on Tuesday. So that was sort of a weird moment, but but hey, what can you do? But yeah, they do win their series against the Yankees. Of course, they face the White Sox, of course, this weekend, as we talked about. So gonna be interesting to see in that sense. That should be a good series there with like I said, the Sunday nighter on ESPN. Look at what the Astros are doing. They've won, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, like 11 of their last like 15. They've now taken over the lead in the AL West. The Angels, unfortunately, have kind of fallen back to earth a little bit. They've lost 3 in a row. They've had their struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Otani's been kind of struggling a little bit. Their pitching has been, kind of like ebb and flowing. So we're starting to see kind of like who the true contenders are. Toronto, I'm a little worried about Toronto. They've been kind of inconsistent as well. They're 8 back of the Yankees. Well,
Yeah,
the Yankees
I
been,
know they
well, the
picked it
Yankees
up
have
a
been pretty
little bit.
good too. Yeah, the Yankees
Yeah,
have
they
been
picked
good.
it up a
No,
little bit in that series against Seattle. Taking
don't give me
two
Spurs,
games in that.
Seattle.
Yeah, actually, sweeping Seattle, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
They swept Seattle. Seattle has their own issues. I know they got destroyed by Boston at Fenway
Yep.
last night as they
Yes.
continue their East Coast road trip. But Toronto's starting to pick it up a little bit. You mentioned the Angels. Tampa Bay's starting to pick it up a little bit too. Let's not forget about the Rays. And so,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be a tough AL East, as we told you guys. That Boston, they still have a lot of work to do. As I mentioned, they beat Seattle last night, and so I know they lost the series at home early this week to the
Mm-hmm.
Houston Astros. You mentioned they're picking it up, but let's see if Boston can turn it around here. They're facing a lesser opponent in Seattle this weekend. They got out to a good start last night, scoring 12 runs.
Yeah, that should help Boston, confidence and such. The Dodgers, what more can you say about them? They've won 5 in a row. Well, again, they lost the opener against the Diamondbacks, but they ended up, winning the rest of it. I think they won like 12-5 or something like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of, up here, but also too, the Padres are still right there. Excuse me. Padres are still right there, and also the Giants. The Giants are kind of starting to sort of, wake up a little bit.
Yeah, they
So,
woke up the Rockies.
yeah. So,
Yeah, you're not as good as you think you are.
yeah, so got a little bit of a reality check there from the Rockies yesterday, but it's still, they're still right there. Like I said, I think they're realizing that they're no longer the hunter. They're now the
Mhm.
hunted, and now with the great starts by the Padres and the Dodgers, it might be tough for the Giants to keep up. We'll just have to wait and see. But overall, a solid week in MLB.
And also, too, what about the Milwaukee Brewers and Atlanta Braves?
Hmm.
Milwaukee taking 2 out of 3 from Atlanta. Atlanta, for the second year in a row, they're off to another slow start. I don't know if it's going to be as easy as it was last year because they had the benefit of the Mets and the Phillies both tripping on their own 2 feet. And of course, they made some acquisitions at the trade deadline, which helped them as well. I don't think this year is going to be as easy.
Yeah, no, it's not, and it's gonna be. It might come down to like the last like couple of weeks of the season as it was maybe last year when the AL in the NL East, I should say. So should be interesting though in that division, especially since no one's really perfect in that. Now the Mets have injury issues, the Braves are up and down, the Phillies, I don't think they know what direction they're going. So this is going to be a very interesting NL East, absolutely. Now going through the schedule, of course, we told you about the Diamondbacks and the Cubs face each other. And note, folks, for all of you in St. Louis and Pittsburgh, the Cardinals and the Pirates. That's the first game, that Apple TV Plus doubleheader. So you guys got to find other ways to watch the game here.
And
So
Sunday's game between the Pirates and Cardinals will be on Peacock, part of MLB
yeah,
Sunday morning leadoff.
yeah. Well, there you go. Those of you who listen, those like
Major
those
League
you say listen
Baseball,
for
you
sure.
shot yourselves in the foot with this series.
Yeah, absolutely. Atlanta and Miami. Miami's actually got some pretty good young talent there.
Mhm.
We'll see if they can, give Atlanta a little bit of a hard time. Of course, we told you about the Yankees and the White Sox. I host the White
Mhm.
Sox this weekend. The Dodgers and the Phillies. That's gonna be on ESPN Plus.
You think the Dodgers should go ahead and sweep that series? At least take 2 out of 3 at the worst.
Oh yeah. But if they
Especially not
got a little
without
bit.
Bryce Harper.
Yeah, I'll say yeah. I'd be surprised if they didn't at least get take 2 out of 3, especially like you said with
Mhm.
with Harper's injury. Tampa Bay and Baltimore, the Rays. I know that Baltimore's been giving teams a hard time this year. We'll see if
Mhm.
the Tampa can kind of get back on track. Cincinnati and Toronto. I mean, this should be a nice get right series for Toronto. I hope.
Yeah, this is a gift.
Yeah, all right. So perfect timing. So hopefully the Blue Jays get back on track in this series. Detroit and Cleveland, Seattle and Boston. I know what that Boston just hammered Seattle. I don't know what's going on in Seattle, but that's a whole nother show there. Minnesota and Kansas City.
Let's go
Texas.
Royals,
Yeah,
I
Texas
guess.
and right, yeah, Texas and Houston. That's the second half of the Apple TV Plus doubleheader tonight. So those of you in Arlington and in Houston, you're gonna have to find other ways to watch tonight's game. Washington and Milwaukee Mets without some of their top guys against Colorado. That should be an interesting series there.
Mhm.
Oakland and the Angels. See, the Angels are gonna get back on track there, and also too.
Yeah, they swept Oakland last weekend, 4 games
Yeah.
to none.
So this should be a nice little get right series for the Angels. And last but not least, San Diego and San Francisco.
And that's your series for Major League Baseball for this upcoming weekend. You're listening to Second City Sports live and in living color for a Friday edition right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena here with you. We have more coming up. We have to get into the NBA Conference Finals. Boston and the Miami Heat are tied at one game apiece. We'll preview tonight's game 2 of the Western Conference Finals between the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors. That and a whole lot more basketball talk coming up right here, live in living color, right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. NBA Thursday, the Bulls dropped their second straight 126-109 the loss at New Orleans. The Bulls are 42-31 with the setback. Zach LaVine led the scoring for Chicago with 39 points. Kobe White had 23. The Pelicans got 30 points from Devontae Graham, 25 from CJ McCollum, and a double-double from Jonas Valanciunas. Up next for the Bulls, they'll try and snap the skid tomorrow night when they visit Cleveland. The Blackhawks put a 2-game winning streak on the line tomorrow when they visit the Vegas Golden Knights. Chicago with a 4-3 win at Los Angeles yesterday. Alex DeBrincat had the shootout winner. Colin Delia made 43 saves through overtime in just his second start of the season. Spring training Thursday, the Angels beat the Cubs 5-4. Today, it'll be the Cubs taking on the Rockies. The Giants beat the White Sox 9-6. Today, the Sox will face the Mariners. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Welcome back to Second City Sports. We're live in 11 color. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena right here on Sports Zone Chicago. If you want to follow yours truly on Twitter and the IG, you can do so at SidK80. Once again, it's SidK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan_McGee on the IG.
We have less than 90 minutes left of this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. You have any questions or comments during any of our topics for today's show, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. This half hour, we'll be talking about the NBA Conference Finals because the conference finals are on and popping, as the young folks would say. Lakeena, as usual, we'll start backwards. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals took place last night in South Beach, with the Boston Celtics getting a 127-102 victory over the Miami Heat, tying the best of 7 series at 1 game apiece. Al Horford and Marcus Smart, RIP Tom Heinsohn, both missed game 1, but both made their impacts in their returns to the lineup in game 2. Jason Tatum had 27 points. Al Horford had 10 points and 3 rebounds in 33 minutes of action. Marcus Smart chipped in with 24. Also, Jaylen Brown chipped in with 24. It was a tight, competitive first half, but the Boston Celtics ran away with the second half and ran away with the game. After Jimmy Butler's game 1 performance, which he totaled 41 points overall, he was held in check in game 2. Lakeena, both these games were total contrasts of both these teams. Miami was very competitive in game 1. They needed a hero performance for Jimmy Butler to barely hold on for that game 1 win. But Boston Celtics defense turned up and turned loose last night, tying up their best of 7 series at 1 game apiece.
It's amazing that people are sharing, switching their predictions as this series goes. Miami, beat up Boston on Tuesday, I should say, and they said, "Oh well, look, the Heat are gonna sweep." Now the Celtics, did the same thing to Miami, and everybody say, "Well, Celtics can win in like 5 or 6 or something." Like, okay, guys, stop it. It's annoying, and that's how they're. Look, no one's gonna shoot 50% from 3. That doesn't always happen in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's not gonna happen every time. And people also have to remember too, Kyle Lowry is still out. So it looks like he might be able to play game 3 tomorrow. It looks like, nothing's official yet. But look, these things happen. Look, even those Bulls teams got their butts kicked in playoff games. No one panicked then. I'm sure those Lakers teams in both the 80s and in the present. I think LeBron, and the Lakers, I think they were down like a couple of series, like big in a couple of their games, and they're in the bubble NBA finals, as they call it. So I think people need to kind of just chill out. Look, I have Heat in 6. I'm gonna stick to that. And I think once Lowry comes back, the Heat aren't at full strength either. We'll see. PJ Tucker's injury, that knee injury, we'll see how that goes, because that doesn't look very good at the moment. Bam, he only scored 6 points. He has to step up more. Guys on the bench have to step up. Oladipo did his best. He had 11, but he could do more. Duncan Robinson didn't have his best game.
I know he didn't play in game 1, but yeah. I noticed that in limited action, he didn't look good last night, maybe because it was a coach's decision not to play him in game 1. Remember, I said on this program on Monday that him and Tyler Hero were my keys for the Miami Heat to win this series. Jimmy Butler doesn't have a great game like he did in game 1 on Tuesday night. They need somebody else to step up scoring-wise. Both Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero were both great shooters. The Bulls could use both of them right now. It's not going to happen, but I digress from that. Those two can fill it up on the outside. Let's not forget about Gabe Vincent, who's been that unknown sub player for the Heat all year. He's been up and down in this series, but Miami's going to have to pick it up. Let's not forget about Strauss either. He's been an X factor as well. Yeah,
he needs to step up too. He only had, I think, like 8 points in that game yesterday. So it's going to be one of those 6 points, I should say, Strauss had. So yeah, this is going to be kind of like up and down. I know, Boston has the home court. What we've seen so far, that doesn't mean anything. So like I said, we'll see if Kyle Lowry can play tomorrow. And look, no one's going to, they're not going to be 50% from 3. That just isn't going to happen. I know Grant Williams had 19 off the bench for the Celtics. I think that helped them as well. So I think, look, guys just need to step up, like you said. Hopefully, Duncan Robinson is okay. Maybe just get going through like a non-COVID, illness. Maybe just starting to get over that. but I think everyone needs to step up on both sides. Look, TD Garden, in Boston. Look, the last game they played there together, the Heat actually won that game. They're actually able to pull that off. So the Heat can come back, and I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to come back and perhaps split one of these next 2 games in Boston.
Yeah, check out a couple of these statistics from last night's game. Of course, you mentioned about the field goal shooting by the Celtics overall at 51%, but they shot the ball very well from three-point range at an even 50%, while Miami barely shot it at 29%. But pay attention to this, and this is going to be key going on in this series. Free throw discrepancy. The Miami Heat had 22 free throw attempts, but they only made 16, while the Celtics were 21 out of 23 from the free throw line. That's going to be key, especially with these games, as you mentioned, coming up this weekend in the TD Bank North Garden. We know that most of the home, not to go into NBA conspiracies using air quotes here, but we know that the whole teams usually play with more confidence, with more intensity. And when you get to the basket, you draw fouls, you get to the free throw line more. So beware of that this weekend for the Boston Celtics. I just wanted to point out they shot 91% from the free throw line last night.
That's going to be key. And like I said, if Lowry is able to play tomorrow, I think that's going to be kind of like the big sort of, that could be the big, lift that Miami needs, especially if PJ Tucker has to miss a couple of games due to that knee injury. So
that is huge for Miami. They really don't have a big man outside of Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, so someone else going to have to step up on the outside. They're going to have to play small, too, if that's the case.
Yeah, they will have to play small because Udonis Haslem, he's old as us, and I don't see him suiting up anytime soon.
We might get, playoff Udonis Haslem from, 8 years ago. So you never know. I think, especially if Tucker is out, Spoelstra might not have a choice but to put him out there. So, hey, look, Horford. Look, Al Horford's still doing his thing, and he's only a couple of years younger. So he had 10 points and some big threes there. So it could happen. I mean, look, we've seen strange things happen in the playoffs. We'll see what happens there. You listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Along with City Brown, I'm Lakeena McGee. We're talking NBA Conference Finals right now. And let's go out west, Sid.
Well, before we go out west, Lakeena, we just want to give the schedule for the Eastern Conference. Tomorrow's Saturday. Tomorrow's Game 3 will be on ABC at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Games 3 and 4 have now shift to Boston. So the next 2 games are on ABC. So you have to go to bootleg cable or stream it illegally. It's on the free TV, folks. So games 3 and 4 Saturday and Monday will be on ABC at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yeah, so there you go. And it'll be on the main network. So we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. We'll see if, a pivotal Game 3 coming up tomorrow in Boston. Now we can go west. Dallas and Golden State. Game 2 of that series is tonight. I know people want to I know Mavs fans are not too worried at this point, but I know, yes, they were down. Yes, they were down 2-0 against Phoenix, and in the series before that against Denver, but or was it Utah? But I kind of feel like you're not playing either one of those teams. You're playing a team in Golden State where they are a veteran team. They know what to do. They know how to, step up, in big playoff moments. So this isn't their first rodeo. So if you go down 2-0 here, not going to say that they're going to sweep the Warriors, going to sweep the Mavs, but that could very well happen. I know Luka might have been a little bit under the weather, some people are saying, so we'll see how he looks tonight. He had 20 points, which is still kind of a Luka performance, but more guys need to step up. Dinwiddie had 17 points. Bullock had 12, but it wasn't. Those are kind of like garbage time. And the Warriors, look, if everybody's stepping, all 5 starters scored in double figures. If that happens again tonight, and Jordan Poole had 19 off the bench, so that's going to be a big key. If they're hitting the ball well, I'm talking about the Warriors, you may have to watch out.
A couple of things here. Luka did have a good first half, but give credit to Andrew Wiggins. Head coach Steve Kerr of the Warriors stuck Andrew Wiggins on Luka Doncic. Doncic didn't really get going. He only scored, I believe, 2 points in that second half. And Andrew Wiggins was in his face, and they threw a couple of other different guys off a pick and roll at Luka Doncic to distract him, and it worked, especially in that first half. It took a big third quarter for the Warriors to really put that game away. And that's why you see the scattered numbers on the stat sheet for the Dallas Mavericks. Now, you mentioned the Golden State Warriors. Draymond Green had a game of his life, sort of in limited action in 29 minutes. He had 10 points and 9 rebounds. As we said, he's the emotional leader. He's the anchor on the defensive end, and he brought it on Wednesday night. Andrew Wiggins, I mentioned, he had 19 points overall, 10 in that first quarter. It was very important for the Warriors to get him going in the first quarter because we all expect Klay Thompson and Steph Curry to get it going for the Warriors, but you have your third guy that gets it going for you in the opening quarter. It sets up that much more that eases up the pressure that much more for your superstars to get into the flow of the game, and that's exactly what we saw happen. Of course, Steph ended up with 21. And Klay Thompson ended up with 15. You could look at those numbers and say, oh, they should have done more. Remember, that game was out of hand after that third quarter. So I expect both those guys to bring it tonight. You mentioned Jordan Poole, 19 points. He really carried that Warriors team, especially in that second quarter, to really kind of pull away a little bit at halftime. And of course, the third quarter, as I mentioned, the Warriors really hammered down the nail on the Dallas Mavericks there. Otto Porter Jr., that name sounds familiar to you Bulls fans. He also had 10 points off the bench, including 5 or 7 shooting from the field. So the Warriors got away with not having much from their bench, but I expect Dallas to play much better tonight. Will that result in a win? I'm not putting it out the question, but I won't be surprised if the Dallas Mavericks come out of tonight's game with a split.
Well, they're gonna have to show me. I think. Look, you were able to kind of pull it off and real well and convincingly against the Suns, but like I said, you're facing a team that this is not the first time they've been through this. The core, I should say. And look, I don't think you're not gonna scare her too much. So again, we'll have to wait and see there. And the Mavericks are actually the 6 or 17 to lose by 20 3 times and win by 20 3 times at least in a single postseason. Joining the 82 Sixers, 96 then Supersonics, the 2010 Celtics, the 2016 Warriors, and the 2017 Spurs. Now the only thing is that none of those 5 teams I mentioned won the championship. So that doesn't bode well for Dallas at this point. But again, we'll see what happens tonight. But I think more folks, more guys need to step up. If Luka is still kind of a little bit banged up for whatever reason, Jalen Brunson needs to step up a little bit more. He had 14 points. Dorian Finney-Smith only had 5. So look, you showed a little bit of that confidence against Phoenix. Now let's show it against a team that actually has been there multiple times and can sort of put you away when they have your foot in your throats.
We all have given Jason Kidd props, the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, for turning this team into a more than semi very good defensive team all season long. Klay Thompson was held in check with 15 points. Steph Curry had 21, respectable numbers, even though it was a blowout. I expect those two to go off tonight, but can you keep Jordan Poole in check? Can you keep Andrew Wiggins in check? Because if you can, that's going to put that much more pressure on Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. As I mentioned before, if the Warriors have a third scorer step up, it makes Steph Curry's job and Klay Thompson's jobs that much easier. But if you shut down Jordan Poole and or Andrew Wiggins, you putting all that pressure on Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to carry the load for the Warriors. It could be done, but it's going to be that much tougher. And I think if you're Dallas, what defense do you have to – you're not going to stop Klay. You're not going to stop Steph. But can you neutralize Andrew Wiggins? Can you neutralize Jordan Poole, who's really been that spark plug as that third guy scoring wise throughout these playoffs?
I think that's going to be the key. I mean, like I said, if more guys need to step up. That's just all there is to it. And because if things get out of hand pretty quick tonight, as it did in the second quarter of the last game on Wednesday, it's going to be a long series, or should I say a quick series in that sense for the Mavericks, because they might get blown out the water. Look, the Mavs are a solid team. And look, J Kidd is in his first rodeo in this. We'll see if he can kind of step it up, if the other guys need to step up and help up Luka out. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens tonight. If Dallas does end up, pulling it off, great. Hey, we have a series. If they go down 2-0, this could be a quick one.
You're listening to Second City Sports on an all-new Friday edition right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena here with you, talking NBA Conference Finals. If you have a question or comment for us, who's going to win tonight's game between Dallas and in the Mavericks, or who do you have in the Eastern Conference Final Series between the Heat and the Celtics? Let us know in the comment section at Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your answers and your questions in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Lakeena, regardless, we're going back to the Western Conference Finals. Regardless what happens tonight, with games 3 and 4 are coming up on Sunday and I believe Tuesday in this series, Luka is going to have one of those games where he's going to score upper 30s to mid 40s. And as we mentioned about the Eastern Conference Finals with the Celtics fans at the TD Bank North Garden, those fans down there in Dallas, they are fired up as well. And that's what gets Luka going along with his teammates. You saw in that Phoenix Suns series, they shoot the lights out well when they're at home. On the road, not so much. Regardless what happens tonight, Dallas is going to be fired up, ready to take those next 2 games, trying to hold home court advantage. Luka, I guarantee you, is going to have one of those games, and I don't think it's going to be a quick series, regardless of what happens tonight.
They'll be, like I said, you have to show me. You have to show me. So I'm kind of like, look, I know Luka probably will have that type of game, but other guys have to step up too to help him out. Who's to say that the Warriors will say, hey, look, let Luka score 35 or 40, but if we keep everybody else at bay, look, we can, and if we should hit our shots, hey, cool. The series is ours, and we're going back to the finals. That's going to be the thing. Now, game 3 of the series will be on Sunday on TNT at 8 o'clock our time, as well as game 4 will also be on Tuesday, also on TNT. All the Western Conference games will be exclusively on TNT. So make sure you guys check that out. It's basic cable, folks. I'm sure you guys have it, or you might have it streaming somewhere, in the app. So no excuse there. So you check out the Western Conference Finals. We'll see what happens tonight and the rest of this weekend.
Yeah, so game 2 is tonight, 8 o'clock TNT. Lakeena, you have any other thoughts on the world of basketball? I know we still have some time left. I didn't catch this program yet. I'll have more on this on Monday. But Charles Barkley debuted a show called The Great Debate. Did you get a chance to check any of that out?
I watched clips of it. I didn't watch like the full.
Okay.
I watched like clips of it, but yeah, it sounds like it's a cool concept. But yeah, I think this is sort of like in his form. You can kind of go a little free for all, no swearing because it's still on television. But I feel like this should be a fun series for Charles for show folks for those who don't know what the show is about.
It's about basketball. From what I've seen, it's about basketball debates. He has other panelists on. I believe I saw Jackie McMullen on the panel, and a couple of his buddies from TNT were on there as well. And so they get into various topics about the game of basketball, various players, topics, and other subjects revolving the round ball. So I'll check it out this weekend because as I said, I DVR'd it, but I was busy doing other stuff. I didn't get a chance to watch the full episode. So we'll talk about it again. We'll talk about it in more detail on Monday's show. I saw a couple because I said this is interesting. I want to see how TNT produced this.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. You guys could check that out when you get a chance, or you also do it on the TNT app. We're on TNT.com now. Here's our Zach LaVine, I guess, rumor of the week. Yeah, right.
We're gonna get a soundboard sooner or later, folks.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the latest rumor now is that he's going back, going to the Lakers. This is according to what LeVar Ball said in an interview he did with David Kaplan. I don't look again. well, and again, I guess Casey Johnson also said that him going back. I'm talking about LaVine going back to the Bulls is no longer a slam dunk. Now, again, unless I hear Zach himself say, "Hey, I'm leaving and going to team A, B, or C," then these are all just rumors. Like, hey, I'm hearing a barber saying this, or no disrespect, but I'm not going to take LeVar's word for anything.
You don't trust the folks in the barbershop either?
No, whatever. Like, I heard his barber son or his uncle said to the nephew, like, what? Like, stop, please. Stop
the barbershop is where you get your most credible information. It's the cornerstone of the black neighborhood. You don't trust the barbershop.
Well, hey, look, I got a beauty shop too, but that doesn't mean I'm going to listen to everything they say.
Oh boy, I had to get that out of my system. But as we talked about before, Lakeena, Zach LaVine is a free agent. This is really the first time in his career that he's really exploring his options. That's what you're supposed to do when you're a free agent. Explore all your options. Do not leave a stone or leave unturned. And he has Rich Paul, LeBron James's business partner, as his agent. These kinds of stories are going to come out, as you said, Lakeena, until it's officially put on paper and released from Zach himself in his camp that he's back with the Bulls. This is what you're going to get. And I'm with Zach LaVine. I don't blame him. This is what you fight so hard for, is to become a free agent, explore all your options, and see what happens. Now, in terms of getting the max deal, only the Bulls can give him the most money. Now, these other teams can give him a nice piece of change as well, but not compared to the Chicago Bulls if it's just strictly about the money. So Zach LaVine's exploring all his options. That's what you're supposed to do if you're a free agent. I wonder why people don't get this.
Yeah, I know people just want, clicks and such. So yeah, I don't know. Look, we don't know what Zach's gonna do. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think Zach knows at this point what he's gonna do. Of course, he's gonna look through. I mean, okay, yeah, the Blazers, the Lakers. Okay, where is he gonna fit in the Lakers system? Like, this is okay. You're dealing with AD. I know I know, of course, Bulls fans are gonna say, hey, you know what? Maybe if do a sign and trade with Zach, he can go to the Lakers and you can bring AD back here. Oh, sure. You want to bring like an AD that can't stay healthy? You want?
You're already worried about Alonzo Ball, which we'll get to in a second. But you're already worried about him. You want to worry about another player who's almost brittle? No.
Yeah, it's silly how some Bulls, Bulls fans on Bulls Twitter. It's always an interesting experience on Bulls Twitter. But I know
I'm surprised you come out of there with little to no scars, Lakeena.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got Portland. Twitter. Well, yeah, you got to think like, Portland. I know Portland has, some people said Portland. Maybe somebody have said, supposedly, I guess the Bulls have showed interest in Sixers forward Matthias Thybulle, because of the connection of Mark Eversley when he was in Philly. That rumor came out this week. Like, like I can't with some of these rumors. But
I know San Antonio's been in the mix as well for Zach LaVine. I know Greg Popovich has great respect for Zach. I know he coached him in the Olympics last summer. But San Antonio, I know they still has a rebuilding to do. But if you're Zach, you got just a snippet of taste of winning last year. Of course, winning 46 games during the regular season. And you got a taste of the playoffs, even though you were hurt. Why would you go to San Antonio?
Yeah, I know Dejounte Murray.
That's just me.
Well, yeah, I know Dejounte Murray had a tweet with a Photoshop tweet. I guess it was making the rounds a couple of weeks back with him in a Spurs uniform. It's like, oh, okay, but okay. We're hearing all kinds of rumors now. It's sort of like, okay, folks, I know you guys want clicks and such, but until Zach says himself that where he's gonna go or where he wants to go, let the man explore free agency. That's what you're supposed to do. So leave the guy alone. Now, as far as Lonzo Ball, of course, LeVar Ball says, his dad said that he'll be ready for the start of the 2023 season and that he will not need another surgery. Again, I'm not taking his word for it. Somebody better call somebody, maybe go, I guess they go to a specialist and that there's really nothing wrong. I guess like there's no muscle or ligament damage. It's just very swollen. I guess that's what they're saying. That's why he's been having trouble getting back on the court. And this was one of the things that really concerned me when the Bulls signed him last year. So This is like, okay, this is not what Bulls fans wanted to hear. So he better be right. I'm talking about LeVar saying that Lonzo will be back by the start of the season. Because if not, the Bulls going to have even more issues and whether or not Zach's coming back.
Here's the thing, Lakeena, I forgot who brought this up. I heard this over the last 24 to 48 hours. We all think that Kobe White may be traded this summer. We all may think that Patrick Williams may be traded this summer. I'm bringing up hypotheticals here. Let's just say Lonzo Ball missed the first month or 2 months of the regular season. If that comes out to be, of course, it's going to suck for the Bulls, but that's okay. Lonzo Ball still has the majority of this regular season left to go. He can get his game back. I think the Bulls will be okay. But heaven forbid, and I do mean heaven forbid that Lonzo Ball this lingers on deeper into next season. If you're Kobe White, you're in a close to perfect situation. I'm inexpendable. you guys need me, and Lonzo Ball can't get out on the court, my value goes up even that much more. Now, Alex Caruso, he's no Lonzo Ball. We saw what he could do last year in bringing the intensity from the defensive end, and he can add some additional scoring here or there, but he's no Lonzo Ball. If you're Kobe White, you're sitting there and said, okay, unless there's a player out there that's realistically better than me in my situation, you have no choice but to keep me.
And I think, look, I don't think they were going to get traded. Neither were going to trade it anyway, especially even before this news came out about Lonzo's knee. So I feel like, look, this is why you don't trade Kobe or P. Will, because you're going to need both of them, especially if Lonzo does end up missing the first month or two of the season because of that knee issue. And someone needs to get to the bottom of what's going on. Is it? I know they say it's not a ligament thing, but is it a swollen thing? Are they going to go back in there, maybe like drain some stuff? Like, someone's gonna have to say something, and I think now's the time to do it since you got a little bit of rest before training camp starts, and kind of get the recovery going, and you can kind of get back into game shape.
Yeah, as we said before with the Bulls, this is going to be a critical offseason for this franchise. Of course, Arturas Karnisovas and GM Mark Eversley, they have some work to do. They're not going to flip this roster over like they had to over a year ago. You're now able to add some pieces. They need one, perhaps two shooters, whether it comes with this 18th pick in this upcoming NBA draft, assuming they don't trade it. And you got to dig through the scrap heap of free agency, because outside of Zach LaVine, there's no big name free agents out there this year. They're going to come at some point next summer. But focusing on this year, the Bulls need two shooters and a defensive presence from the interior.
There's no one out there that fits any of those categories. I mean, a lot of guys that have probably been out there for a while and they probably don't have a lot of mileage left. So I think that's a problem. That's going to be the thing. So look, I trust, as our buddy Big Dave Watson from CHGO Bulls would say, I trust AK and Eversley. Let them cook. They move. Bad guys move in silence, as they say sometimes. Yep. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have something up their sleeve. Who knows? But I'm sure they'll figure it out. I think Bulls fans need to just chill and just let them do their thing.
Yeah, we'll see in the days and weeks and perhaps months ahead with the franchise in the men in red. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 straight ahead. Nick Saban, Deion Sanders fighting at the dinner table. Stanley Cup Playoffs, second round off to a hot start. And plus, our girl, Christine, the Queen Manika from KXRB in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, will join us to give us her weekly commentary in sports, entertainment, and more. You're listening to the Friday edition of Second City Sports. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. NBA Thursday, the Bulls dropped their second straight 126-109 the loss at New Orleans. The Bulls are 42-31 with the setback. Zach LaVine led the scoring for Chicago with 39 points. Kobe White had 23. The Pelicans got 30 points from Devontae Graham, 25 from CJ McCollum, and a double-double from Jonas Valanciunas. Up next for the Bulls, they'll try and snap the skid tomorrow night when they visit Cleveland. The Blackhawks put a 2-game winning streak on the line tomorrow when they visit the Vegas Golden Knights. Chicago with a 4-3 win at Los Angeles yesterday. Alex DeBrincat had the shootout winner. Colin Delia made 43 saves through overtime in just his second start of the season. Spring training Thursday, the Angels beat the Cubs 5-4. Today, it'll be the Cubs taking on the Rockies. The Giants beat the White Sox 9-6. Today, the Sox will face the Mariners. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut-rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Welcome back to the second half of Second City Sports, the Friday edition, live in 11 color, right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeena and Sid, which is she. I am Cindy Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
We have less than 60 minutes left of this extravaganza we call the Sports Talk Radio Show. You have any questions or comments for us during our last hour of the show? You can go to Facebook, Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page, or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Coming up, we'll have our homegirl Christine, the Queen Manika from KXRB, with our weekly commentary of sports, entertainment, and more. Lakeena, before we get to the Stanley Cup Playoffs update, I want to get this big subject out of the way regarding college football. With the whole Deion Sanders, Nick Saban, and Texas A&M's head coach controversy, I'm using air quotes here for those listening back on our podcast replay. This comes to us from our good friends at Yahoo Sports. Deion Sanders' response to Nick Saban's claim that Jackson State paid a guy $1 million. I don't even make $1 million. Now, it goes on with the article saying that it hasn't generated nearly as much controversy, but Nick Saban's explosive comments about Texas A&M and NIL, name, image, and likeness payments, also including a shot at Jackson State, where Deion Sanders is currently the head coach. While alleging that A&M bought every player on the team, made a deal, name, and image, and likeness in reference to the Aggies' top-ranked recruiting class, the Alabama coach also said that Jackson State paid the guy $1 million last year. Quote, it was in the paper and they bragged about it. No one did anything about it, Saban claimed. Now, while Saban did not drop a specific name, it was easy to connect the dots to Travis Hunter, the number one recruit in the nation in the class of 2022, who spurned his long-time verbal commitment to Florida State to sign with Deion Sanders and Jackson State last year. Saban apologized Thursday, particularly for singling out Sanders and Jackson State. Sanders, the pro and college football Hall of Famer, entering his third season at Jackson State University, issued a quick rebuttal on Saban's initial statements late Wednesday night. Sanders was unhappy that Saban insinuated that it took $1 million to recruit a top African-American prospect to play football at a HBCU. Here's Deion Sanders' tweet from 2 days ago. You best believe I will address that lie Coach Saban told tomorrow. I was in the wake by my son that sent me the article stating that we paid Travis Hunter $1 million to play at Jackson State. We, as a people, do not have to pay our people to play with our people. On Thursday morning, Hunter issued a response in denial of his own by noting his mother's current living situation. This is from a tweet from Travis Hunter yesterday. I got a meal, ? But my mom still stayed in a 3-bedroom house with 5 kids, end quote.
Well, first of all, I wanted to wait till after we did the NHL playoffs to do this story because I have a lot to say. I'm not prepared to say anything about it. So thanks a lot, Sid, for bringing this up now. Yes, I'm putting you on blast because I wanted to wait till afterwards to do this.
Okay.
But because I want to get Christine's thoughts on this as well when she joins us in a bit. But
okay.
I mean, look, the NIL is sort of. I'll just say this, and then we'll probably go back to this. But the NIL, like I said, it's been people said this has been the great equalizer for smaller schools. So yes, you're going to get some guys that are going to go to the HBCUs, also to FCS, 1AA or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the whole thing with Jimbo, and I think there was I had to bring up a comment. So this is why I wanted to wait till afterwards to do this, because I wasn't, I didn't have that article out yet. I wanted to get some time to look for it, but there was a recruit from Florida State. I forgot. He actually had a really quick career. His name's on the top of my head. I can't get his name out, but it'll probably come to me. But yeah, he said
just give us a tease.
Well, yeah. Oh, and also, but yeah, sure. And the whole thing, the comments. I guess Saban's upset that that more guys, Jimbo Fisher's been able to recruit guys to Texas A&M, but apparently Texas A&M signee said that he couldn't play in an All-Star game in his home state because he was going to have his NIL money taken away from him. So, that's a whole nother issue right there. But excuse me. Jimbo Carter called Saban a narcissist and everything else, and that whole thing. It just was very silly. Travis Johnson was named. You guys remember he's a former defensive back, start defensive back for Florida State. Was part of that 2000 Florida State team that won a national championship, and he said that he was that Saban's brought every player on their team when he was at A&M, that he alleged that Alabama offered him 6 figures in for his class, his graduating class. So he said they were NIL before NIL was a thing or illegal. So again, take his comments for what they're worth. But like I said, I mean, look, the NIL thing is sort of one of those things where it's been like I said, it's been the great equalizer for college sports in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're gonna get like more guys and gals. Like, I'll add the women's sports in there as well. That they're gonna, you're gonna have guys. Imani Bates. We talked with Cassie, our girl Cassie Carlson from Fox 32 Chicago, because she covered Memphis hoops when she was in Memphis, and he said that one of the schools that he's considering is Eastern Michigan, which is close to where he played. He's from Ann Arbor. So we've seen over the years, especially the last couple of years since this has been illegal, everybody's been coming, out of the woodwork, going to some of these schools. Mike Davis's kid, guys remember Mike Davis, former Indiana coach, he's now over at Detroit. I forgot his son's name. His oldest son is actually staying over there at Detroit, to play with him, and also took the guys NIL money. So you're going to see this more and more. And I don't know if Saban is just upset that he can't quote unquote buy recruits anymore, I guess, if you believe what Travis Johnson said. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be very interesting because if people remember at the time, Saban was at Michigan State. Now he left there to go to LSU. So I know that kind of how all this started. So I don't know. It could be all types of weird things happening. But look, Deion, I know Deion's going to say what he's going to say. He's getting some of the top, one of the top wide receivers in the country, end up going, over there to Jackson State. I know Tennessee State, Eddie George, Hall of Famer, another Hall of Famer. He's at HBCU school. He's getting some recruits as well. So the NIL has definitely, kind of helped spread out the wealth, if you will.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens going forward. We'll get into this discussion with our girl Christine later, Lakeena. Like I said, I had some more thoughts on this as well. Now we can get to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, take a look at the second round action from last night, Lakeena, in the Eastern Conference second round. The Tampa Bay Lightning have a 2-0 series lead over the Florida Panthers after defeating Florida, taking both games in Sunrise, Florida. This one was game 2. It was a contest last night by the score of 2-1. The Panthers just couldn't get it going. Tampa Bay held them off late. In the other game from last night in the Western Conference second round action, the St. Louis Blues bounced back with a big 4-1 win in game 2, tying that best of series at 1 game apiece.
Oh, what a fun game that was last night. I actually turned back and forth from that Lightning, from the Lightning Panthers game, because the Celtics Heat game was it kind of went out of hand.
Yeah.
I went back, to TNT and to kind of concentrate on that game. Valesky had 35 saves for Lightning.
Andre Valesky, yes.
We said that it was going to be the goaltending was going to be an issue. It going to be, I guess, not an issue, but I said it's going to be the difference maker. And so far, he's had the edge. So if you're the Panthers, I think you need more guys to step up. Claude Giroux. I mean, this is not your first rodeo in the playoffs. Let's kind of get back into it. Lomberg, has struggled too as well for the Panthers. And the Lightning is showing you why they're the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions.
Yes.
Their guys are stepping up. Stamkos is stepping up. Nick Paul had, a couple of good defensive ends last night. So, Kucherov looks really good for the first time in this series. So I'm not saying that it's going to be a sweep, but if you're the Panthers, you lose 2 at home, you better return the favor, because if they get to a point where the Lightning go up 3-0, not going to say it's going to be over, but It might
It's going to
be.
be tough. Now, like I said, Florida definitely has to get one in Tampa. That's going to be a tough task, as you mentioned, losing the first 2 games at home. It's not impossible because we see this all the time in hockey. But Florida has their work really cut out for them going down there to Tampa for the weekend for games 3 and 4. Now, let's go to the Western Conference series. As I said last night, St. Louis with a big game 2 win at Colorado, tying that series at a game apiece. I said Colorado should win this series at 5. It'll probably go 6. That's kind of what I'm sensing right now. But if you're a Colorado Avalanche fan, I know with your recent failures in the playoffs over the last 3 or 4 years, are you panicking or are you in wait and see mode?
You hope. Yeah, you hope. Yeah, I wouldn't panic just yet. I mean, you better step up in the next game because if not, I mean, it's going to get out of hand pretty quick. So I'm hoping that maybe they can get it together. I mean, they've got the team to do it. They've got a real. They're like they were one of the top teams in the East for a reason. So hopefully they can kind of show that. And like I said, Giroux and other guys need to step up because, like I said, if not, and help out because if not, like I said, this series can get out of hand pretty quick.
Now, in the other Eastern Conference series, the New York Rangers from Wednesday, they dropped game 1 on Wednesday on the road at Carolina 2-1 in overtime. Game 2 is tonight. Lakeena, the Rangers, I know they had a hard 7-game series. So did Carolina, but Carolina did enough in that overtime to pull out the victory. If you're a Rangers fan, I'm not worried. I think they'll win game 2 tonight. Carolina, as we said, they're a complete team up and down the roster. They're more physical than the Rangers. The Rangers can bring the pain too, but Carolina is a more balanced team up and down the roster. But the Rangers are going to have to find some way to put the pucks in the back of the net. You're not just going to, even though the Stanley Cup playoffs are a different animal, you got to find a way to score more than 1 and 2 goals a game.
And that's sort of the thing. I mean, and I'm sure the Rangers know this. I think they know that if they want to win this series against Carolina, they're going to have to score and score often. And
Yes.
1 or 2 goals isn't going to do it just because the Hurricanes are a complete team from top to bottom. So I'm hoping that if the Rangers can, pull it out tonight, I hope they can because I feel like they can win this series, but they need to step up like in the front. So in the front way, especially with Panarin, and Kreider, they need to step up as well. So that 1 or 2 goals is going to do it against a team like Carolina. You're going to have to score maybe like 5 or 6, and just hope and pray that you get the goaltending that you need to kind of keep the Hurricanes at bay.
Yes, as we mentioned, Antti Raanta, the former Blackhawk goalie, now with Carolina, he's been playing his butt off in that for the Hurricanes. As we mentioned, game 2 is tonight in that series. The other game 2 will take place tonight in the other Western Conference semifinal series. It's between the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers. I saw your tweet from the other night, Lakeena. 15 goals were scored. 9 of them were by the Calgary Flames. Lakeena, it took me back to my days playing video games, NHL 94, 95, 96, 97. I was loving it. You said this would be a scoring series. I didn't think game 1 would be like that, but I enjoyed every minute of that.
It's the most goals I should say scored in a playoff game since Game 6 of 1993 division semifinals between the Kings and the Flames. So this isn't the first time the Flames have high scoring games. I mean, look, it was because if you remember, Edmonton, Calgary was up for a little bit. Edmonton came back and then kind of went back and forth, and things kind of went all haywire. And the Flames were able to kind of do just enough to win the series. Now, like I said, it could come down to perhaps maybe someone's going to have to maybe do a stop. Somebody's going to have
to stop.
Stop or try to anyway. So this is good. Look, this is sort of as expected. So look, Gaudreau, McDavid, the battle there, that'll be a fun battle usually as it has been, Drasati and Kachuk, remember, we saw his father Keith do this for a little bit. So
we're getting old.
Yeah, we are getting old. But Matthew's pretty good in his own right. He was a big part of that, that crazy 15 goal game. So in closing here, I'm hoping if you're Edmonton, you hope that you can probably kind of keep them sort of, kind of like
Mike Smith, their goalie for the Oilers, yes. He's got to take one back to his days as a member of the Arizona Coyotes. Yes. I don't know if he has it in him.
Well, he's getting up there in age too, so I don't know. He may have to kind of go into the fountain of youth there, but Yeah, this will probably. I don't know if it's gonna be like 8-7 or whatever the score was, but it'll still be. I'll still say like 5-4 or something like that.
Hopefully those hockey horns are working tonight in Calgary, Alberta, because if that's the case, it's going to be another crazy one. Just going down the schedule for this weekend's games in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Tonight's games Friday. Both games can be seen on ESPN starting tonight at 7 o'clock Chicago time. You have Rangers and Hurricanes in the East second round. That's at 7 o'clock. At 9:30, as we mentioned, Oilers and Flames. Second round of the Western Conference. That series, that's at 9:30.
Well, that horse still working in Calgary. Yeah, I hope it doesn't break if there's
Yeah.
still even more scoring.
And then, of course, tomorrow we have one game on the Saturday slate. That's on TNT at 7 o'clock. Avalanche at Blues, game 3 in that series. That series is tied up at one game apiece. And then on Sunday,
that's a pivotal. Because I think if you're Colorado, if you're St. Louis, you're in a good spot because look, you stole one, in Colorado a couple of days ago. I think, I know Colorado. I think they're going to try to maybe kind of return the favor and try to win these next two and one of these next two in St. Louis.
And 3 games on Sunday. It starts out at 12:30 on TNT. Game 3 between the Panthers and the Lightning in that Eastern Conference second round series. Of course, Tampa leads their best of 7 series, 2 games to none. At 2:30 on ESPN, this is Sunday schedule. Game 3 of the Carolina Rangers series. This time it switches over to MSG. And of course, at 7 o'clock on Sunday on ESPN2, game 3 of the Flames and Oilers. That series will shift over to Edmonton.
Lots of fun games coming up on TNT and the ESPN family of networks.
Yes.
But our lovely friend is with us. Sid, introduce her, please.
Yes, she is our NFL Pick'ems guru throughout the football season. During the offseason, she's our commentary. She's our commenting on sports, entertainment, and more from KXRB Radio in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Here comes our queen, Miss Christine Manika. What's up, Christine?
Hello, there I am.
There we are. Yeah, that's gets a little jumpy. That little score gets a little jumpy at times. But
yeah.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. It's been this week just kind of flew by for me, so it's been pretty good.
Yeah, it is. The months has been going pretty flying by pretty quickly. Okay, Sid. We talked about it a little bit earlier, just a few minutes ago, but the whole Nick Saban versus Jimbo Fisher versus Deion Sanders sort of whole thing. I got it. I'm not gonna go rehash my little thing from earlier, but I'll let you guys take the floor on this one. Sid, I'll start with you.
So here's the thing about what Nick Saban's been complaining about. This goes with college basketball as well. We know the top schools get the top tier players because they are paying them money under the table. It's just a matter of fact whether NCAA wants to catch them or not. Let's just say a small school gets 1 or 2 of those players. The NCAA is all over their backs for reasons that we can't go into on this program. But if you get the drift, you know what I'm talking about. Here's the thing now with Deion Sanders. He said in his tweet the other day, we shouldn't have to pay our people to play with our people. I hope I got that quotation right from his tweet. Deion Sanders, as we mentioned before, Lakeena, and it was pointed out in that article that we talked about a few moments ago. People were upset when he got that recruit from Florida State last year to come join his program. He's doing what any other coach is doing now, which is legal, taking advantage of this rule. And if he could use it to his advantage, so be it. He's no different than any other coach. What it is he's doing it at a school that's not traditionally known for football. The HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, they're known for putting out great bands for halftime shows, but they're not known for great football teams because they don't play the big boys in Alabama and some of the other top schools like Texas or Oklahoma on their schedule every year. And so that's a disadvantage right there. So Deion Sanders is taking advantage of this rule. He's using it to his advantage. He's no different than any other head coach. And with the Texas A&M coach, I applaud him for defending his kids and defending his program. But Nick Saban, we saw this in college basketball, Lakeena. That's why Coach K is out at Duke, retiring. Roy Williams, the same thing at North Carolina. These old coaches are stepping aside because they know the NIL rule, which has been used for a long time before it became legal. They don't have the advantage over these small mid-major programs anymore. And now you're starting to see that in college football.
What are your thoughts, Christine?
Not knowing the situation entirely, I think it's also important to keep in mind too that Nick Saban is one of the winningest coaches in college football. So there's a reason why kids are going to Alabama. It's because what Nick Saban brings to the table, what he brings to the program, and the experience behind it. And not to mention the fact nobody wants to go to like a cold state like Wisconsin or Iowa. They want to be in the sun. They want to be in the warm weather playing football all the time. So that's another part of it too. Again, not knowing the situation entirely. There's obviously a reason why he hasn't backed out yet, let alone announced his quote unquote retirement. So it kind of just depends on where the NCAA goes from here and how far they want to investigate into the situation.
And that's going to be the thing. I mean, I know the NCAA kind of wants to sort of, control it. They said that, you can't get the NIL from boosters and, this and that to kind of keep that sort of thing going away. But you got, guys and gals, I should say, getting, restaurant endorsements and home decor. I think I saw a softball player. She's got home decor endorsements, like at one of the home decor stores. She's going to be an endorsement for them. So, look, things have changed a lot in college sports. I mean, the NIL, when they softened the rule, it kind of opened a Pandora's box here. So it's a playing field now for the most part.
See, here's the thing with the NCAA. We talked about this before, Lakeena. How are they going to regulate this thing? I do not trust the NCAA to save my life, and that's one thing. But how are they going to regulate this NIL rule? As we said before, if you're a 4-star recruit, I'll just use Christine as an example. I'm the head coach, Christine. I promise you that you're going to get this much playing time to play quarterback at Alabama. But if I found this kid that is better than you, I'm going to give him the playing time. And of course, he's going to get a better NIL deal with a restaurant sponsorship or car dealership or what have you. You left out in the cold, Christine, because who's going to pay that top dollar for a backup? That's not going to happen. How are these schools going to regulate this? How's the NCAA going to regulate this? That's the number one question in my eyes.
Yeah, you're right. But then again, if you look at professional sports, that happens all the time. Take the Bears, for example. Andy Dalton blatantly said, the only reason why I'm here is because they told me I was starting for the entire season. And then look what happened. So in a way, it teaches these college athletes life and what they can expect in the future. It's not necessarily a bad lesson for them to learn. But again, they're only kids. Do you want them to be exposed to that type of an environment?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the thing. And it's probably another reason why Mark Emmert is leaving next June. So that could be one of the reasons why he's leaving. So I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. And apparently, I guess I'm trying to see if there were like other comments made, this last couple of days, but I haven't seen any. So I it's safe to say that Nick Saban and Deion will not be appearing any more Aflac commercials together anymore. I'm just that ship has sailed, I think. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see we'll keep you guys updated as usual in the NIL and all the other front. You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Cindy Brown. I'm Lakeena McGee, along with our girl KXRB's Christine Manika. We'll talk about the White Sox first. So we still got a couple more minutes before we go to break. Now it looks like they got a much needed series win against the Royals. They have a big one tonight, this weekend against the Yankees. Where do you see the Sox, as we go into like sort of after the Yankees, they kind of got a little lighter part of their schedule coming up with the Red Sox and the Cubs. But where do you see the Sox at this point, Christine?
Gosh, I wouldn't. The Yankees are really good this year. I'm not going to deny that. Like, they are one of the top teams in baseball right now. If they get a win or two out of this series, good for them. That's another feather in their cap. But if things keep on going the way that they're going, I don't see really anything coming out of this series. I got my grandpa's so great. He sends me all of these articles and stuff like that about the White Sox. And he did something pretty interesting. The batting averages for the White Sox right now, again, this is from yesterday, but you look at Moncada, that's 194, Abreu, 212. You have Sheets, 213, Engel, 220. They're not that impressive. They got to get their hit game going again. Pitching, great. Their hit game, it's nothing. I think at this point now, they're 7-12 in this weak division. This isn't like, this isn't rocket science. They should be doing better than what they're showing right now. And, unfortunately, now coming up with a big series against the Yankees, I don't think much is going to change until they play the Cubs. Even Boston looks pretty good this year. So I wouldn't necessarily say either that, okay, you got an easy couple of games after this one with the Yankees. I'd say the Yankees and Boston right now for them, they're going to be tough series.
So here's the thing we talked about all the time, Lakeena. The White Sox, they're a good home run hitting team, but they got to create runs and get stolen bases. You're starting to see that a little bit. Luis Robert always kills the rails. He did that in this series, in this 5-game series, which the Sox took 3 out of 5. Luis, a.k.a. La Pantera, knocked out 2 home runs. He knocked out a big one yesterday to give the White Sox a much-needed cushion. But it looks like Jose Abreu is starting to slowly come out of it. He still has a long way to go. You may have to drop a couple of spots in that lineup, which it looks like Tony Russo finally is waking up to see that he has to do that. But it looks like Jose Abreu is starting to come out of there a little bit. Yasmani Grandal had a home run in that series in Kansas City. Hopefully he'll start to come out of it a little bit. So it looks like the White Sox are finally starting to turn the corner. But I'm with you, Lakeena. We said this last hour. I'm waiting to see what happens this weekend in this series against the Yankees. I think they could take a game. I really do. I think they can take the game. They cannot afford to get swept.
No. I don't think they will. I think that the Sox are too talented, like you guys have said. They're starting to kind of find the rhythm and such. The weather's getting warmer. Oh, well, of course. Well, it's good. I think it's gonna be warm out in New York, but unfortunately, when they come back here, it's gonna get pretty cool. In their series against the Cubs later this next week. But like I said, it's gonna be interesting though. No doubt about it. Real quick before we go to break, Christine, what are your thoughts on the NBA conference finals so far?
I think this is the year for Jimmy Butler to get himself a ring. He's worked too hard over the years, and I got a lot of confidence in Miami. It's not exactly the trifecta effect, what we saw with Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. It's a different type of effect. It's a different type of young energy that are hungry for a win. Same thing with the Celtics. That's a legendary organization full of championships under their belts. And this is kind of getting the new generation of Celtics fans excited about the team and what's to come in the future. As far as Golden State and the Mavs go, it all depends, I think, on how Luka plays. I think I saw he had a pregame beer or something like that before the game. I mean, if you can do it, you can do it. But that should be a good one too. I know the Warriors, they've struggled this season, but now they're coming into their own. But Luka and the Mavs, I wouldn't count them out just yet.
We'll have more with our homegirl Christine, the Queen Manika from KXRB right after this. We'll get into the Patrick Beverley controversy. We'll get Christine's thoughts more on the White Sox, and I'm sure we'll have some sports media nuggets here and there as well as we wrap up today's show.
Yeah, and also too, I'm sure Christine will have her thoughts on the PGA Championship that's going on right now over in Oklahoma.
John Daly's actually doing well. I can't believe it.
I know, right? I've seen the pictures of him actually doing. Yeah, he is. We also hold that thought. We'll have more of that. We'll have more of that and so much more coming up next to the Second City Sports on the Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you in a bit.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. NBA Thursday, the Bulls dropped their second straight 126-109 the loss at New Orleans. The Bulls are 42-31 with the setback. Zach LaVine led the scoring for Chicago with 39 points. Kobe White had 23. The Pelicans got 30 points from Devontae Graham, 25 from CJ McCollum, and a double-double from Jonas Valanciunas. Up next for the Bulls, they'll try and snap the skid tomorrow night when they visit Cleveland. The Blackhawks put a 2-game winning streak on the line tomorrow when they visit the Vegas Golden Knights. Chicago with a 4-3 win at Los Angeles yesterday. Alex DeBrincat had the shootout winner. Colin Delia made 43 saves through overtime in just his second start of the season. Spring training Thursday, the Angels beat the Cubs 5-4. Today, it'll be the Cubs taking on the Rockies. The Giants beat the White Sox 9-6. Today, the Sox will face the Mariners. lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
There we are.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the all-new Friday edition right here, live in 11 color Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid, that's Lakeena, is Christine. We have less than a half hour left in this program for today and for the week. You have a question or comment for us, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Before we move on, Christine, I want to get your thoughts about another controversial issue with the White Sox. Of course, the White Sox split a day-night doubleheader as part of that 5-game series on Tuesday against the Kansas City Royals. Ozzie Guillen, former manager of the White Sox, now, of course, a TV analyst on NBC Sports Chicago. I know he ruffled some feathers with his commentary, but it's pretty much based in baseball logic. And he said, and I quote, that players, like he used Tim Anderson as an example, that Tony La Russa sent out his quote-unquote Sunday lineup for the game 2 of that day-night doubleheader. Of course, the Sox lost that one 2-1. Yoshua was angered about that because the Sox could have won that game, but Tony La Russa does not set consistent lineups every day. I know you got to get some guys in to get some at-bats, but he doesn't set a daily lineup, and that's what frustrates me. But Ozzie Guillen said on the post-game show on Tuesday, why do you have to sit some guys here and there? It looks like they're paraphrasing here, and it looks like you calling them, you're spoiling them. Of course, Tim Anderson fired back and from his Twitter account, said, shut the bleep up, Ozzie. Of course, I think it was deleted since then. What are your thoughts about that controversy and your thoughts about La Russa, the way he's managing his team right now?
You know, as far as Ozzie's comment goes, I mean, that's part of his job is to commentate and to say his reaction of what's going on, especially with a team that he's coached, and he pretty much knows that organization like the back of his hand. As far as how Tony manages, it's different. You know, the guy is 60, 70 something years old. You know, it's not going to be like modern day baseball. I think that's what you call it. I don't know. He's from a different era in baseball, and he just is accustomed to doing things differently. And maybe some of the players don't agree with it. Maybe the reason why Tim Anderson got heated is because maybe he does appreciate what La Russa does and appreciates maybe the occasional rest for a doubleheader and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not in his head. I don't know what he's thinking. But as far as managing styles go for La Russa, it could definitely be improved. It can definitely be more of a modern day twist on things. But I just think he's been in the game long enough to know that he's set in his ways. That's not a problem, but you're going to make the fans angry in the long run.
I said this earlier, and I wonder if the Sox would be if the Sox were in first place right now instead of behind the Twins by 3 games, would this even be a big issue?
No, it wouldn't. Yeah,
yeah. That's the problem. So yeah, again, if the Sox can get together, this will all be a moot point. If not, people are gonna be going back and forth with these comments. throughout the season. And if you're a White Sox fan, you do not want that. You do not want that at all. All right, let's get this out the way, Christy. The PGA Championship is going on right now as we speak at Southern Hills in Tulsa. Justin Thomas, who has one of these, he won in 2016. He is your clubhouse leader at 6 under among some of the other players, big players that are in contention. Rory McIlroy, who has one as well, he's just starting to tee off right now as we speak. Matt Kuchar just parred the first hole and a few others. Tony Finau is up there as well. I see Cameron Smith, your guy from Australia. He's at 2 under. Also, Xander Schauffele is also at 2 under right now. They're just starting. Tiger, struggle.
78,
yeah. So we'll see what he does. He's about to tee off as well. Look, John Daly, who has 1, 2, like who you were talking about, he's at 2 over right now. He's at even par. He might make the cut this, for this year. So what are your thoughts on the PGA Championship?
Good for John Daly, man. I mean, to keep up with these young players like Cam Smith and McIlroy and Justin Thomas, that's impressive that they're keeping up like that. I feel horrible for Tiger that he's going through so much pain and just a lot of aches and sores, and it's tough. It does a number on your body. I think the Masters did a number on his body too, and he's been trying to work back into it. Now, I don't know if is Tiger using a cart for this tournament or no.
I have not seen a cart
because I've seen it's John Daly, but I've seen him use a cart. So I guess I question. I get it. He wants to show his strength, Tiger Woods. He wants to show that he's strong enough to do it. But I think at a certain point, especially when you're still trying to recover and you went through such a grueling course with the Masters, I think at some point you say, Tiger, can you just use the card for a second so you don't strain yourself that much? That's what I think would be a main point for me anyway. With McIlroy going to tee off now, it's anybody's game. I think it's going to be a good battle between him and Thomas.
Yeah, that would be really good if you're CBS. So and others, Cameron Smith, Matt Kuchar, those guys and others. Will Ziva is up there as well. He's got a couple of PGA tour tournaments. So this is his first rodeo either. So it should be a fun one, even though Tiger looks like unless Tiger has like a Tiger-like performance, he might miss a cut. Do you guys
think that he came back too soon?
Do I? I think for the Masters, he accomplished his goal. He wanted to get back in the Masters. Now, if I remember this correctly, I remember him saying I'm focusing on St. Andrew because that's one of his favorite courses, one of his favorite tournaments. So when I heard that he was doing the PGA Championship, I'm like, wait a minute, what happened to getting ready for St. Andrew? Why? Yeah. So in this regard, I don't think he should have done this. I think he pushed the envelope just a little bit because it could potentially affect his performance now for St. Andrew.
I agree. I feel like because you could tell the way he was swinging the club, he was wincing the whole time. Yeah. It was painful to watch.
Tiger's jacked. Like he's legitimately jacked at the waist up. Like it's crazy how in shape this guy is. But I think after the Masters, he should have really just focused on the recovery and just getting that leg strength because I don't think it's helping him playing in this championship right now.
And it looks like weather shouldn't be a factor. It's actually going to be cool, I think, on Saturday and Sunday, I believe, Christine, that's a great
if he gets at least 2 over, Tiger, that's a good day. If he can come back from 4 over and get to 2 over, hey, you take what you can get. It's been done before for sure, but his circumstances they're different just because of his injury.
It should be a fun one. And round 2 is going on right now on ESPN. You can watch the weekend broadcast. I know they got an early one on ESPN, but you can watch the main broadcast on CBS Saturday for tomorrow and Sunday. So all you golf fans out there, make sure you guys check that out.
Yeah, I saw Joe Buck is making his ESPN debut with Michael Collins.
Yeah, that
Chilling
was
in the
actually really
clubhouse.
good. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
actually really good. That was actually really good.
On a side note too, Dustin Johnson, he's not doing well at
Right.
all. He finished 6 over for the day in total between the two, so I don't think he's making the cut. And poor Scotty Scheffler,
Yeah.
he's out. He's 6 over. He's not continuing, but he probably thought, I just won the Masters. This isn't gonna be too terrible, but ouch, that's still just a side note there. Gosh.
Well, yeah. Well, and look, he's been playing well through just about every tournament he's been in, so he's allowed a stinker, every once in a while, because even though some of the
players are.
Yeah, so it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be too upset if he doesn't end up missing the cut. But I'm sure he's not going to be too bummed about it. Look, he'll spend some more time, chilling with his trophy, so his green jacket.
Yeah, right. Wearing that out a little bit.
Yeah, this is Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Cindy Brown, Lakeena McGee, and our girl KXRP's Christine Manika taking you home for the rest of the half hour. I know, so you got some sports media news to share with us, please.
Yes. Despite being pursued by Fox, Dan Orlovsky of ESPN will be up with the company, and he'll be replacing Brian Griese in the TV booth. Of course, Brian Griese, now quarterbacks coach with the San Francisco 49ers, who play the Bears, by the way, in the opening week of this upcoming season.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, right. It will be the number 2 booth for ESPN will be Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, and Dan Orlovsky. Thoughts?
Okay. Yeah, that works for me. I think. Look, I figured that they're going to be the number 2 team, especially even when Griese leaving. I know that they would Steve and Louis will still be together, and I think having Dan there, who is so intense and so very breaks it down layer by layer. He's really good. Yeah, he's had some bad takes, but look, everybody's had some bad takes. So. But yeah, I think they do. I think they'll do fine together, because you got they're gonna be doing 4 games. This coming season they're gonna be doing 5 games starting next season with a new TV deal kicks in. I'm sure they're gonna be doing some college football as well. Sprinkle in. So I think I think this is fine. I like Orlovsky a lot. I think he's a great analyst. I think they made the right choice.
Everything that you just said, I agree.
Right.
Oh, Christine with the old ducking fake. Sticking with ESPN, ESPN announces 30 for 30 docs on the 2000 Baltimore Ravens and pool legend Jeanette Lee.
Wow.
Very cool. Yeah, I saw that. Of course, I'll start with Jeanette Lee first, because in our age range, Sid, women's billiards in general was huge for ESPN in the late,
especially in the 90s. Yes,
in the 90s especially. She was at the forefront. Her, Karen Core, Allison, darn, I forgot her last name. She's British. Vivian Villarreal, Allison Fisher. That's the name. It just popped in my head. They were definitely right there. Every final, every semifinal, you can see either one of those 4 women, because they were just so dominant. And she was very dominant too. She was known as a Black Widow and such. Definitely paved the way for Asian American women, minorities in general, in that sport. Now, unfortunately, she's been, she's dealing with terminal cancer. So, but she's a fighter. She's always been a fighter. And, she's breaking down barriers on and off the billiards table. I think her oldest daughter is about to graduate from high school. This tells you how old or about college, I should say. That's how old we are, Sid. Because, because I remember they were little bitty babies when she first, became number 1. And, I'm glad that they're, showcasing her and, in this new 30 for 30. I think she's more deserving. I think hopefully she's doing well.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Christine.
I was going to say, I agree. I think it's great to highlight women in sports and the ladies that kind of paved the way for you, Lakeena, for me too. So because we want to be here right now if it wasn't for the ladies that said, yeah, I'm going to break this glass ceiling. So I think that's awesome. Same thing with Baltimore. They were studs in the early 2000s. Why not feature them?
Yeah, I was going to bring up the Baltimore Ravens next. Of course, 30 for 30 doc is going to be done on them. Of course, remember, Ray Lewis spent almost an entire offseason in jail due to that shooting following that Super Bowl the previous year in Atlanta. And, of course, Brian Bailey, who's now helping out Herm Edwards at the University of Arizona State. He was the head coach of that team at that time. I wonder if they're going to interview Trent Dilfer, who used to work at ESPN many moons ago. Of course, he was the quarterback of that team. Of course, he got released after they won the Super Bowl. So I want to see what type of angles they go with this one. Remember, it was America's Game. It was produced by NFL Films, which I thought they did a good job on that 2000 Ravens team. But I'll really see which way ESPN goes. And will they get Shannon Sharp, who now works with Fox Sports with that Undisputed show with Skip Bayless? Did they get him for this job? Because he was one of the high personalities on that team as well.
I'm sure they will. I think that team, those teams in the early 2000s were just amazing. That defense was right, after the 85 Bears defense. I mean, they were just lights out. And I'm wondering, though, if they're going to delve right into that thing with Ray Lewis and, what happened during that Super Bowl, right before that Super Bowl. And I'm sure they're going to have Trent Dilfer there, too. I mean, he worked for ESPN for years. He was a big part of, well, someone say he wasn't, but look, someone had to play quarterback during that time. Yeah. So, I'm sure they'll reach out to him as well. And it's going to be very interesting. I think, look, this is one of those teams that, especially in this century, I think you could probably say they were probably one of the best teams, or right up there, for the best teams in the century. So both of these docs they got coming up, ESPN 30 for 30 does a great job. So I'm sure they're going to score some two good ones. And I'll have my DVR set for both of them.
Yes. And number two, Lakeena, NFL Films didn't cover this in their documentary series, America's Game. I wonder if ESPN even tried this. Remember, Trent Dilfer was not the opening day quarterback. It was Tony Banks. He got benched in like the fourth or fifth game.
Yes.
Did they reach out to him for this doc?
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I know Tony's doing I think he's either coaching or doing TV somewhere, I think. So
okay.
We'll see if they do reach out to him. But yeah, a lot of interesting characters on that Baltimore Ravens teams.
Yes.
In the early 2000s.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, right. I mean, and this is before social media too became like a big thing. So just imagine if social media had been around with all that stuff was happening with Ray Lewis.
Boy. Yeah, like I said, the internet was in its baby stages back then. It was just starting to take off. But like I said, social media, as we all know, it's a whole different animal. Sticking with ESPN and ABC one more time. Disney and ESPN strike exclusive multi-year deal to broadcast XFL games. Of course, the XFL is headed by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. They'll start next year in 2023. I think February 18th. So right after the Super Bowl.
It kind of makes sense because everyone's like, what's The Rock doing at the start of the Super Bowl this year? They're like, why is he there? Besides it being Hollywood, it all makes sense now because he's going to be the face of the XFL. I think they had a pretty good, inaugural season for the most part, but then COVID kind of put a wrench in the plans and everything. So I think it's a pretty good move. And The Rock he's recognizable throughout all sports, throughout all types of media. So I think he's a good choice for that. And plus he's relatable. Everybody can relate to The Rock.
Everyone likes The Rock too. So I think that's why
loves The Rock.
Yeah. Right. I mean, look, this could definitely be a good thing for the league itself, putting his name in there, being the face of it.
Yeah.
So look, we'll see if we get some stars. Maybe some familiar names will be playing there. They're gonna make it a little more football, a little less wrestling. They'll probably have some theatrics and stuff like that. They've made the original XFL, in the early stages, really good. So look, it's a low risk person, potentially high reward for ESPN and ABC. So it's great to fill programming during the spring. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Fox Sports. Again, Lakeena, we talked about this. I think we talked about this with you last week, Christine. Greg Olson and Kevin Burkhardt will be the number one crew for this upcoming season. Fox officially announced that Greg Olson will reportedly call this year's Super Bowl for Fox despite Tom Brady looming. Now, whenever Tom Brady hangs it up, he's going to work for Fox. Will he be joining the number one team, or will Tom Brady be joining a different team? That remains to be seen. But Greg Olson for this year will call the Super Bowl with Kevin Burkhardt for Fox.
That's exciting. I wonder because Aaron Andrews worked with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman for a long time. So I'm more curious to see how that dynamic is going to go. Because when you work with someone for a period of time, you not only create a good working environment, but you create a friendship out of it as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they play off of each other.
Yeah, and if you heard her interview, I mean, she and Troy are kind of like brother and sister, so
Yeah.
they worked together for like almost like over a decade. So I'm
Mhm.
sure this is going to be different. I'm sure I'm sure the dynamic between her and Kevin and Greg are going to be just fine. Now it'll be interesting to see by the time the next Super Bowl after that Super Bowl, because I think CBS has it after them, and then because the new TV deal
That's
kicks
about
in.
right.
Yeah, it's because new TV deal kicks in, and next year. So and then
Mhm.
Fox has it after that. So the question is, will Tom Brady, still be playing, or will he be doing the Super Bowl?
I'm all for it if Tom Brady keeps going.
Right? I mean, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting too. But
Let him play. If he wants to keep going, let him play.
let him play. I mean, the money's going to be waiting for him. So
Right. Let him play.
let him play. But he might stay in the studio first, before he gets into the out there in the booth. So I mean, look, I'm sure Kevin Burke. I know some people for affiliate for him because it'll be his fourth partner in 5 years if Brady decides to retire after this season. But he's adapted well with all his guys. We know that he's got great chemistry with him and Greg. So I don't think it's going to be a problem when Tom Brady comes again. Will Tom Brady be any good? That's a whole nother thing. But I'm sure he will be. He'll get into it. But look, I'm sure whatever Super Bowl matchup, I'm sure Greg's going to do just fine calling the Super Bowl. And we'll see if he makes Fox rethink things. They probably won't, but I'm just saying.
You're listening to Second City Sports, the Friday edition. We're live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena, and Christine wrapping up today's show. We still have a couple more minutes left. We're going to finish strong. Guys, speaking of finishing strong, the NBA Finals will start in a couple of weeks, but the NBA executives and Commissioner Adam Silver can smile from ear to ear with the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks battling the Western Conference Finals. Despite not having LeBron James in Los Angeles, the number 2 TV market, despite not having the Bulls, the number 3 TV market, and definitely despite not having the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks, of course, in the number 1 TV market, the NBA ratings in the NBA playoffs thus far has been the best at its highest since 2014 LeBron James last year in Miami. Thoughts?
It says a lot. It says a lot about the current athletes that are fighting for this title, because I think we talk about this with baseball and football too. You got to find the face of your franchise or the face of the NBA, right? Obviously, for a long time, it was Jordan. And then you mix in Kobe in there, you mix in Shaq and Barkley. And now we're getting into the next phase of the NBA, where at one point it was Derrick Rose. Now it's turning into Jimmy Butler. And then you have Giannis and LeBron and Kevin Durant at one point. So it gets, I think, people excited for the future of the NBA, that there are players that are exciting to watch. Steph Curry, he's still one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Luka, he's going to be a new face for the team too. And if the Bulls get their act together, we could have, DeMar or DeRozan be the next face for the NBA,
Yeah, I agree. And for all those folks that thought, oh, well, no one's going to watch because LeBron's not there, or no one's going to watch that Brooklyn got eliminated.
Yeah.
I mean, I think hopefully this will answer that question. And hopefully they'll answer that question. I mean, look, you've got 4 great markets, great teams with great history. And like I told Sid last week, if you're ESPN and ABC, you can't go wrong with whatever combination you have for the NBA Finals, whatever it is it be, whether it's Boston or Golden State or Miami and Golden State or Boston and Dallas or Miami and Dallas. They can't really go wrong. You got stars in all 4 teams. They all have rich history. And so for people that think that, oh, well, no one's going to watch because LeBron's not there and KD and such, look, at least so far, and I know some of the games have been blowouts, they haven't been very competitive, but just seeing the ratings, I think if you got to be pretty happy if you're the NBA.
I think if you're an NBA executive, like you mentioned, Lakeena, us as deep thinkers watching this stuff very closely, you can't go wrong with any of those 4 potential matchups in the NBA Finals. But if you're an NBA a TV executive, i.e. ESPN and ABC, you would think you would want Miami and Golden State because Steph Curry's back, Klay Thompson's back. This is their redemption tour. People haven't used that term with this team all year. Let's be honest, the media wants to go to South Beach for free. And if you have Golden State in Miami, they'll be great. But I think the better matchup basketball-wise for me personally, especially for the casual fan, would be Boston Golden State, because you have a historic franchise in Boston. This is the first time they'll be in the NBA Finals since, I believe, 2010. So it's been over a decade since they been in the NBA Finals. Of course, you have Golden State with their return to glory so far this year, if they should reach the NBA Finals. So I think Boston Golden State will make more sense. But I think if you're a TV executive, if you're a member of the media, it'll be Golden State Miami, because you want to go to South Beach for free for a week.
Oh, brother.
Someone will say it out loud like I just did, but I'm spitting out nothing but facts.
Oh gosh.
No, right. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Any other thoughts before we disperse, folks? Anything that catches your eye this week in sports or entertainment?
I'm rooting for Tiger to pull himself together. Let's see. Oh boy. Let's see if there's an update in scoring.
Okay. Yeah.
Get back to me. It's loading.
Yeah. Yeah. I got the game. I got the going on right now. He did par the first hole, so that's a good start. He's on the second hole right now.
That's better than nothing.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to the second, where he bogeyed yesterday. So we'll see if he can at least try to make the cuts. I think that's all you can ask for.
Exactly.
Tiger.
Like I said, if he is at least 2 over, then he'll be in good shape.
All right. Yeah, we'll see if he does. Of course, you got the PGA Championship this weekend. Also, you got great playoff matchups. Continuing with the conference finals in the NBA and in the second round of the NHL playoffs. A lot of fun matchups there. We talked about it. Also, too, for all you soccer fans, Premier League is ending. It'll either be Man City or Liverpool. It's coming down to this. It'll be interesting to see what they're going to be playing at the same time. So there won't be any scoreboard watching as they do. But I know Everton is, ecstatic that they haven't been relegated. So for all you soccer fans, check it out on the NBC family networks as well as Peacock. And also you got some great baseball matchups as well. And also so WNBA too. So lots of great sports coming up. What are you looking forward to this weekend, Sid?
Of course, the White Sox surprised me. Take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I know it's a tall task right now, but
hold your breath. Sid.
What's up?
Hold your breath.
I guess, but it shouldn't be too hard to ask. At least take one game. How about that? Take one game. Surprise me.
That's all we ask. That's all we ask.
I'm greedy. Get two. Get two.
Oh, brother.
and hopefully back to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hopefully that Edmonton Calgary series continues to get to be more entertaining.
Yeah, we're probably gonna get like 10-9 or something like that for tonight, I guess. We'll see, but Stuart Sink, who is a former Open champion, just synced the par, so he's right there too. He's at -2, so he could be a factor this weekend. So, like I said, a lot of great sports this weekend coming up. With that said, you can follow me at Lakeena McGee on the Twitter and at Lakeena_McGee on the IG.
Make sure you follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, that's CK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Christine, where can the lovely people follow you?
They can follow me on Twitter at CManika_KXRB.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast, Second City Sports at War on Anchor. We're available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. Make sure you follow War Media at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Make sure you catch Second City Sports every Monday, every Friday, live in a living color from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as you young kids would say, Christine. Make sure you catch Second City Sports every Monday, every Friday, live in a living color from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here exclusively on Sports Zone Chicago.
All right, folks, enjoy the sports. I know it's going to be cooler in some parts. In our part of the country, it's going to be rainy and wet and cool. It's going to be early spring. Jesus. So make sure you guys stay warm. I know it's going to be warm out there out east. So make sure you guys stay cool. Enjoy the sports this weekend, everybody. For Sid and Christine, I'm Lakeena. This has been Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll talk to you Monday.
Go Sox. Holla.